Hello everybody, my name is Christopher Araya and I am a father, I'm a business owner. I stress equally just like you. I just happen to have a lot of experience helping people manage it, and I therefore think I have a bit of authority when it comes to talking on this topic of stress. Now, and quickly before I forget, if anybody can make the connection between the clinic, Araya Health, and this band right here, if you can see that properly, Slayer, if you can make the connection, I will give you a $35 gift card towards the clinic. You can comment below if you think you know the answer. Now, like I said, I want to make this video a bit more conversational based because I think it's much easier for me to get volume content out. And with that being said, from last night up until this morning, literally dreamt about this, right? Dreamt about this, and I woke up and I literally sketched it on my phone. So I have a reference drawing. I'm gonna try to explain it to you, but because I'm in a talking mood today, all day with my clients, nonstop talking about this thing to the point that I wasn't planning on recording this video, but I think I just gotta get it out of my system. Now, typically what happens in our healthcare industry, I'm gonna talk about healthcare for today. Healthcare typically focuses on what's wrong with you, okay? So if, like the classic three, if you fall off a fence, if you're pregnant, or if you have something critically wrong with you, like an illness, this is where healthcare typically jumps in. So if we look at our healthcare system as a spectrum, a time-based spectrum, on this end, we have our healthcare system, okay? I'll show you this in a second, okay? Just bear with me. Okay, so on one side we have healthcare, on the other side we have what's called prehab, preventative rehab. The rationale is more, how do I prevent injuries from coming up? And in the middle we have rehab. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. Chicken scratch, but over here we have healthcare, urgent critical care, pregnant, fell off a fence, or I'm ill. In the middle, we have my industry, not really my industry, because I don't really do this stuff. It's rehabilitation. This is where you think chiropractic. This is where you think physio. And on this end, we have prehab. It's preventative. It's where we get personal trainers. We get certain type of therapists that focus on making sure that we prevent the back pain from coming back or ever starting in the first place. So I find the problem that comes up is that if we're asking a question of how do we have people live a healthy quality of life, if we're looking at that question and we're trying to solve it through a timeline, so we use a grid like this, I think we are set up for failure because we are playing the waiting game. Once again, there's something wrong with me. Two, I want to prevent things from coming up in the first place. Two, there's something wrong with me and I need intervention and supports in the middle. So I think, if my opinion, and this is not medical advice, I think we need to ditch this. And this is the realization I had, that we need to move away to be healthy long-term and not depend on anyone, including myself. If you are my client watching these videos, I do not want you to depend on me at all. In fact, the more that you depend on me, the sadder I get. The less I feel like I'm doing my job. So therefore, I had to create something called state-based care. What does that mean? And I feel like I will be able to give you a story. Rather, I'll do both. I'll give you a story and then I'll explain it. State-based care, and I have to pull up my list because on the way to the clinic, I was taking notes. But there is an endless list of states that we can be locked in, right? The classic ones that I typically talk about are when you're hungry. How do you act when you're hungry? And I want you to be honest. Are you happy? Are you energized when you're hungry? Are you uplifted? Like describe to me how you feel when you're hungry. Probably miserable, probably angry, probably you struggle to regulate yourself. That's the truth, okay? Hunger. What about when you're in pain? What do we call that? Pangry. When you're in a bad mood because you're in pain. okay? It makes sense that when we are in certain states, it either becomes easier or harder to make certain decisions. To a certain degree, I feel like it's not someone's fault, totally, if they are living a stressed out lifestyle, they've neglected themselves, maybe they have children, maybe you're career driven, and you've done that for so long that your day-to-day routine revolves around you being in a predictable state. For example, for myself, when I wake up, the first hour of my days consistently are so mind-blowingly chaotic. I just zoned out. I literally zone out. I struggle to recall what happens, getting myself ready, getting my son dressed, and he's getting himself undressed as I'm dressing him. I have to feed him, get my daughter ready, change her diaper. I like this whole routine. It feels like it's a 2-hour mission, and I have to condense it within 30 minutes. And it's made worse because my son stresses me out. My point is that we can predictably, and it's situational based, okay? So we can predictably talk about someone's lifestyle and know that maybe at certain times in the day, because of the lifestyle, because of your situation, there are certain states that you go in and out of. Make sense? So there isn't a defined list of states. There is an endless list of states, and some of them that I wrote down here, I want to highlight, but we can be dysregulated. Chicken scratch writing. We can be stressed. We could be overwhelmed. We could be, what do we have here? Neutral. Neutral is like, meh, indifferent. We can go there, we don't have to go there. I can eat this, but we don't have to eat it. I would say neutral is not bad, but it's not the best because we want to be, not all the times, but we do want to be energized. At a bare minimum, recovered. Okay, next one is recovered. How do you feel when you're recovered? When you have a good night's sleep, you wake up first thing in the morning and you feel like what? To me, recovered is relieved to the most extreme. I feel well when I'm recovered, okay? And energized. This list is going, it's not as clean as I thought. Energized, done. Okay, chicken scratch, you guys. I'm almost embarrassed to show this to you guys. Chicken scratch. Regardless of this, I need to explain. The more that you can catch on to the states that you're in, the more that we can create change. So I want to share with you a story. And the story, like it's a real story, but it's interesting when you think about how most people behave. Most people's behavior is, and I think this is a cultural problem. The behavior that most people have is to passively wait for things to happen, and that's the assumption that your body will just kind of figure things out. The reality is, waiting for your body to heal, waiting for your body to resolve these problems, there's only a small point in our life where that kind of actually happens. Maybe when you're young, maybe when you're a teenager, maybe in your 20s, maybe. But as we get older and you get to this tipping point of like your 30s, your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, we have to be able to intervene. And once again, this is where state-based care comes in. But the point is that most people wait until something breaks. And when we do react, we are treating pain, we are treating injury, and we're treating the symptoms, but we very rarely ask the question of what state am I in? So, to explain this a bit more effectively, when I was in my teens, for some reason, this idea of state has always been in the back of my mind, but when I was a teenager, there was a commercial that I saw, and in this commercial, there's 3 kids in a park, okay? There's 3 kids in a park. There we go, ready? 3 kids in a park, and 2 of them are kind of jumping, going in circles, or skateboarding, but then the other one is actually this old lady, and she's like swiping at them, saying, "Get off my lawn," and she has this attitude problem, and she's yelling at these kids, but these kids are laughing, and they're going in circles, and then this one kid reaches into his pocket, and he gives this chocolate bar to the old lady, and the old lady grabs it, and she eats it, and then she just kind of like shakes it off. And this old lady changes into this kid, this young kid. So now there's 3 kids. And then the lady says, sorry, you guys, I just don't act myself when I'm hungry. And then it cuts and it says, you're not yourself when you're hungry. Grab a Snickers. So it was a Snickers commercial, but how good does that represent the idea that when you're hungry, you don't act yourself, okay? Very often, 9 times out of 10, I want you to think about, like we specialize in massage therapy at the clinic. I want you to think about what states might the average person be in when they're walking into the clinic. Stressed out, dysregulated, lethargic. Like, we can go on all day. That's the average person. And if you're showing up to the clinic regulated, recovered, energized, that's good, but that's not the majority of people. Unfortunately, the majority of people are people that need help because they're overwhelmed, because they're stressed, okay? But how interesting is it? The person that walks into the clinic versus the person that walks out of the clinic. It's as if they ate a chocolate bar. You see what I'm saying? How interesting is it that a 1-hour appointment can create such a drastic change in someone's state? Because when someone's walking in, they're saying things like, I'm stressed out, it's been a long day, I'm tired, I don't have any energy, I'm gonna go home and sit, I'm gonna go home and watch TV, I'm gonna get takeout. That happens every single time. Now we do the appointments, and pressure, massage therapy, stretching, moving, all these things are a way that we can intervene and create a state change. We do the session. All of a sudden, the person that's on the tail end of the appointment is completely different. It's like they go from that grandma to that young kid. That person is always energized, enthusiastic about walking. Just yesterday, crippling lower back pain for this lady. From the front to get to the room, 45 seconds. It's a 5-second walk. She was so slow to walk and she had been sitting all day. By the end of the appointment, she asked me, can I go for a walk? Can I work out? Can I start working out now so that I can get stronger? That was not in the vocabulary of the previous person. And I say this because you can 100% right now, create a state change. And you will be shocked that maybe if right now you're noticing you're not making the best decisions. Maybe, and it happens to me all the time. Why do I grab junk food? Why do I opt for sugar? Why do I opt to skip out on moving? Why do I opt out on just having a lazy day? Maybe because I'm stressed. Maybe because I spent the last 8 hours sitting. Maybe because I was overwhelmed the day before. So state-based care is asking the critical question. What is the state that I'm in right now? Okay? So with that being said, like I said, this video wasn't really planned. I will start making more content, more conversational based, and we will go from there. But if you do have any questions in terms of how you can get started to create a state-based change, I have created a school community, and there's a free 10-minute resets that you can do absolutely free, and you can do something tonight so that you can create a state change, get better quality sleep. And for most people, within one sleep, you can have a noticeable change from one night leading into the next. So if you want to learn how you can do that, just follow the link to my school community, and I will teach you how you can do it.